Fog seeped down the basalt walls like liquid smoke, swallowing the Zari patrol's lanterns one by one. Their claws clicked against volcanic stone as they moved in loose formation, antennae swaying to taste the air. The soldiers were restless. Kale-9's night warped every sound. A cough became a growl. A falling pebble stretched into a predator's hiss. Tonight, something heavier stirred the canyon. The first roar came low, rolling through the gulch in waves. Helmets snapped up. The second roar followed sharper, amplified by hollow caves, rattling their ribcages. Then the cliffs answered with a layered chorus, as if giants had woken beneath the rock. Contact? One Zari officer barked, mandibles flaring. Before an answer came, shadows moved above them. A crack, not the plasma hum they knew, but a brutal punch of air, split the night. One trooper fell, armor torn. Panic flared. More cracks followed, each booming into a cathedral of thunder. The patrol fired blindly, streaks of plasma painting the fog. Yet the enemy stayed invisible, only roars circling them. Then, through echoes that seemed born from the stone itself, a single human word rolled back. Reload. The youngest soldier dropped his light. Silence followed his scream. On the ridge above, Lieutenant Amara Chen lowered her rifle. The echo map on her visor traced red lines where basalt tunnels carried each shot. Sergeant Ortiz crouched beside her, counting spent magazines. Good placement, Ortiz murmured. They'll be telling ghost stories about tonight. Amara nodded, though her jaw clenched. Down below, the survivors hustled across a winch line stretched over the chasm. A wounded boy sagged against two Marines, blood soaking his tunic. Tala status, Amara called. Halfway across. Winds rising. I've got the jammer primed if their drones sniff us. The young comms tech's voice was steady, but her hands shook as she clipped cables. Amara moved to the boy, pressing medgel into the wound. His eyes fluttered, but he breathed. She whispered, "You're not staying here. Not again." By the time the last civilian crossed, Zari reinforcements were closing. Amara ordered a smoke burst and covered the retreat. When the fog swallowed them whole, the roars died with the canyon. Prefect Vell sat in his command chamber hours later, light from data crystals shimmering across his scales. He examined casualty reports with cold precision. 6 dead, 3 missing, supplies lost. Troopers spoke of monsters. He dismissed it. Still, a fragment caught his attention, a clipped sound buried in the roar. He played it again, 3 syllables in the alien tongue. Reload. Not a beast. A command. Humans, he said aloud. His mandibles clicked in thought. He marked the anomaly and ordered expanded sonar mapping of the canyon networks. Vell had no fear of mammals. They were soft, brief lives clinging to soil. Yet they adapted like mold, filling cracks. On Kale-9 those cracks were wide. He resolved to seal them. The lava tube's safe house smelled of ash and recycled air. Amara peeled off her helmet and knelt beside the boy. His breathing had steadied under gel wrap. Vas, the medic, leaned against the stalagmite, cleaning his scalpel. Kid's lucky. Artery missed by half a finger. Another inch, and we'd be burying him in basalt. Not tonight, Amara said. She stood and checked the resonance plates wired against the tunnel walls. A flick of her switch sent a low hum rippling. The Zari in the room winced at the pitch, crest ears folding back instinctively. Ortiz frowned. That thing hurts them. It's not lethal, Amara answered. It buys us seconds when we need them. Vas spat into the dust. You sure seconds are worth turning us into nightmares? Silence settled. Tala glanced up from her screens. Monsters keep people alive. Isn't that the point? Amara tightened her gloves. We target senses, not souls. We don't become the thing we fear. We just make them hear it. The room accepted her verdict without more words. At dawn, the team set out again. They traced a convoy path where Zari carriers hauled crystal ore. Amara placed bone chimes across an outcrop, letting wind summon eerie rattles. Thumpers buried in the sand drummed like distant heartbeats. The convoy arrived on schedule. As drivers heard the phantom sounds, they veered into a narrow pass. Raven team struck fast, rubber rounds on joints, spikes through tires, stun bursts at guards. No one killed, but crates of med-gel and oxygen tanks were theirs. Amara hefted a captured signal scrambler. "This buys us time." Ortiz grinned. "Old school thunder, new school trickery. Nice mix." They withdrew before air drones arrived, leaving Zari crews shaken but alive. Fear spread faster than wounds. By evening, Amara reviewed maps on her slate. Evacuation window, 6 days. Too little margin, too many civilians still hidden in caves. Every raid counted. Ortiz joined her, holding a tin cup of bitter brew. "You should rest." "So should you." He chuckled. "Sergeants don't rest." His gaze shifted to the boy, now sitting upright, speaking softly to another refugee. "Neither do leaders." Amara rubbed her temple. "I failed once. I won't fail again." "Failure's when you stop trying," Ortiz said. She didn't answer, but his words anchored her. Far across the camp, Tala patched into captured comms. The air filled with static, then a guttural voice, Prefect Vell's order for phase mapping. He wasn't buying the monster story. He was hunting humans. Amara listened, expression unreadable. Finally she said, "Then we make the hunt cost him more than he's willing to pay." Night returned to Kale 9. From a ridge above the canyon, Amara watched Zari lights flicker below. She slung her rifle, eyes scanning the fog. Somewhere in that darkness, fear lived, fear she had planted. Her slate pinged softly. A decoded fragment pulsed on the screen. Reload. Vell had heard it. The game was no longer shadow against shadow. Now, both sides knew a mind hid behind the roar. Amara closed the slate and whispered to the wind, "So hear us roar again." The convoy never saw it coming. A row of bone chimes hung across the ridge, swayed in the canyon wind, clicking like teeth. Beneath them, subsonic thumpers pulsed against the sand, vibrations sinking into the stone. To Zari ears, it was the pulse of something vast moving beneath the surface. Drivers stiffened, wings twitching in unease. Their lead transport slowed, then signaled the column to divert into a narrower pass where basalt spires crowded like fangs. Raven team was waiting. Sergeant Ortiz whispered, "Targets lined. No kill shots." "Copy," Amara said. Her rifle scope framed the convoy's lead hauler. She squeezed once. A rubber-coated round smashed into a wheel assembly. The truck lurched sideways, forcing the others to brake. Marines rushed down from hidden ledges, spiking tires and dropping stun grenades. Guards scrambled, firing wild plasma bursts that seared harmlessly against stone. Voss barreled into a trooper, baton crackling, dropping him without lasting damage. Tala jammed comm signals with the stolen scrambler. Within minutes, the convoy was neutralized, supplies in human hands, and Zari crews left alive but shaken. Amara hauled a crate of med-gel into cover. "Fast, before reinforcements track us." Ortiz grinned through sweat. "Not bad for monsters." In his command chamber, Prefect Vell studied the data from his drones. The convoy had been diverted by false signals, then struck with precision. Not the work of wild beasts. A pattern glimmered beneath the noise, a hand guiding echoes like a conductor. He tapped the screen, highlighting one fragment, a human syllable buried in the roars. "Reload." "Primitive," one officer muttered. "Chemical discharge weapons. Outdated centuries ago. Yet effective here," Vell replied coldly. "They exploit acoustics we failed to chart. The caves amplify their strikes, shaping thunder into fear." He rose, crest stiffening. "Deploy acoustic decoys. If they hunt with sound, we bait them with sound." That night, Raven team moved through basalt gullies, moonlight fractured by fog. Amara paused, tilting her head. A low roar rippled across the valley. Ortiz tightened his grip on his rifle. "That wasn't us," he muttered. Another roar followed, too steady, too deliberate. It carried no echo bloom, no layered bounce. Artificial. Decoy, Amara said. Her visor mapped faint distortions, harmonics phasing unnaturally. They're projecting it. Tala tapped her console. Signal source triangulated. Left ridge 200 meters. Amara pulled a small transducer from her kit. Anti-phase it. She tuned the emitter, releasing sharp counterclicks that met the false roars in midair. The two waves collided, canceling into silence. For a heartbeat the canyon was empty. Then Amara's team heard footsteps, Zari troops waiting in ambush. They were close. Voss hissed, lowering his weapon after the enemy withdrew. Too close. They know we're not beasts, Amara said. Now it's a duel. The duel soon took its toll. Crossing the canter step, resonance pillars stretched for miles, stone columns rising from the plain. The air was sharp with static from an incoming storm. A Zari drone cut through the clouds, sonar sweeping. Tala, jam it, Ortiz ordered. I'm trying, signal too strong. The drone spotted them, beams narrowing. Plasma bolts scorched the step, throwing sparks. Raven team sprinted through the maze of pillars. Split! Amara shouted. She dove behind a column as the drone's cannons tracked her. Ortiz hurled the jammer into the open, letting it crackle with interference. The drone twisted toward it, sensors blinded. Seconds later, the jammer exploded in a shower of sparks, frying the machine midair. The wreck crashed into the dust. Amara scrambled over, fury sharp in her chest. That was our best jammer. Ortiz smirked, chest heaving. Better fried than you, Lieutenant. Her glare softened. You didn't have to. Yeah, I did. He slapped her shoulder. We trade pieces to save the board. Remember that. The words lodged deep. Later, in a collapsed tunnel, they found a boy trapped under rubble. As Voss and Ortiz lifted stones, a Zari scout appeared, crest glowing faint in the gloom. His rifle leveled at the humans. For a frozen moment, the boy whimpered. Amara raised her sidearm, eyes locked on the scout. He hesitated, mandibles trembling. Instead of firing, he lowered his weapon and stepped back. His crest flared once, almost like a signal, before he vanished into the fog. The boy clung to Amara as she pulled him free. Ortiz whispered, Why didn't he shoot? Because he saw a child, Amara said softly. Even monsters can hesitate. Back in their lava tube refuge, Amara used bone chimes and wind funnels to mask movements of hidden civilians. Families listened for coded thunder counts to know when to travel. 1 roar meant wait. 2 meant move. 3 meant scatter. The system worked. Whole clusters shifted unseen beneath Zari patrols. Tala leaned back from her console, exhausted. They'll crack it sooner or later. Not before evac, Amara said firmly. But when she reviewed her slate that night, she found new intercepts. Prefect Vell had ordered phase cancellers deployed across the occupied city. Machines designed to silence the planet's natural roars, stripping humans of their cover. She stared at the glowing text, jaw tightening. He's not hunting ghosts anymore, she muttered. He's hunting us. Ortiz set a ration tin beside her. Then we make him regret finding us. She didn't smile, but she met his eyes. We will. Overhead, lightning forked across the storm-heavy sky, thunder answering a second late. To the civilians huddled in caverns, it was another night of monsters. To Amara Chen, it was a map still hers to write, until someone silenced the echoes for good. The storm broke on the 4th night. Rain sheeted across basalt canyons, turning gullies into rivers. To Amara, it was both blessing and curse. The weather masked movement, but it also risked cutting the escape window short. 600 civilians still waited underground, packed in hidden caverns. If the Zari finished deploying their phase cancellers, every roar the humans shaped would vanish into silence, and the entire plan would collapse. Amara gathered Raven team in the dim glow of her slate. The feed station schematics hovered in pale blue lines above the rock. Here's the play. We overload the space elevator's crystal line for 90 seconds. That burst powers the piezo plates across the canyon and blinds every Zari sensor within range. While their ears ring, civilians run for the jungle pad. Shuttles lift before they even realize we're gone. Ortiz tapped the map. And the catch? The feed station's locked with 3-phase cancellers. We'll have to detune them in sequence, or they'll fry the surge before it builds. Vaz swore under his breath. So we're juggling knives. Amara met each of their eyes. It's our only chance. 3 teams. Decoys light up the resonance towers. Civilians move on thunder codes. We breach the station and trigger the burst. Silence held for a beat. Then Ortiz gave a crooked grin. Guess we're monsters again. At midnight the operation began. Bone chimes rattled in the wind across half the occupied district, accompanied by thumpers buried beneath the mud. The sound rolled like a heartbeat too vast to be real. Zari patrols stiffened, weapons raised toward shadows. The first resonance tower erupted, amplifying rifle shots into overlapping bellows. A chorus of thunder leapt across canyons. To those below, it felt as though the world itself had come alive. Decoy team lit. Ortiz reported, voice low over comms. In hidden caverns, families stirred. Women pressed fingers to their children's lips as coded roars echoed through stone. 2 bursts, then a pause. Move now. They slipped into tunnels, trusting the monsters above to keep soldiers away. Amara's team crawled along a drainage trench toward the feed station. Lights glimmered ahead where crystal conduits pulsed like veins through steel walls. Guards shifted uneasily, glancing skyward as thunder cracked again and again. Tala pulled a coil of wire from her pack. Cancellers are humming. I can detune the first if you cover. Go, Amara ordered. She and Ortiz slipped forward, rifles steady. The first guard rounded the corner. Ortiz's stun baton hissed, dropping him before he could shout. Another raised his weapon, but Amara's rubber round took him in the chest, knocking him flat. By the time backup arrived, Tala had rewired the first canceller. Its tone wavered, then fell silent. One down, she whispered. Prefect Vell watched from his command balcony as echoes rolled through the city. He had prepared for beasts. What he heard now was a pattern, thunder answering thunder, signals buried inside noise. His officers shifted nervously. They're moving civilians, he realized. Every roar a code. He activated the comm grid. Deploy secondary nets. Hold the pad perimeter. Let the thunder rage, but stop the exodus. Even as he spoke, a new frequency cut through his phase cancellers. Not the random shriek of geology, something deliberate, sliding past his models. He leaned forward, mandibles tight. Someone down there is playing me. At the feed station, Amara's slate pulsed, 30 minutes until orbital window. Second canceller ahead, Tala warned. Zari reinforcements poured in, more disciplined this time. Plasma bolts seared against basalt. The air reeked of ozone. Raven team ducked behind a conduit, return fire hammering. Each rifle crack exploded into rolling roars that shook the station walls. Ortiz pulled a grenade from his belt. Flashbang buys us 5 seconds. Do it, Amara said. He lobbed the grenade. Light flared, echoing like a lightning strike. Zari troops reeled, hands to ears. Tala darted forward, slicing cables, fingers flying. The second canceller sputtered, then died. 2 down. Vaz slammed a fresh magazine home. We'll never hold long enough for the third. Amara scanned the crystal conduits, then her resonance map. She saw it, an unused harmonic channel, overlooked by Vell's engineers. A gap. We don't need to kill the last canceller, she said. We outsing it. Vell's screens blinked red. Cancellers offline in sectors 1 and 2. The third strained, trying to dampen a rising wave. His claws dug into the railing. Primitive minds, he muttered. But clever. He opened a direct broadcast. Human commander. Parley. Amara froze at the voice in her comm. Ortiz hissed. Trap. Keep him talking, she said. She toggled her mic. Go on. You cannot win, Vell said, voice calm, almost weary. I can slaughter your civilians before dawn. But I offer amnesty. Lay down arms, surrender, and they live. Ortiz spat. Lies. No, Amara whispered. It's calculus. He'd rather save resources than waste them. She answered. We don't surrender. Then you doom them, Vell said. Or I free them, she shot back. While his words filled the air, Tala fed coordinates into the surge relay. Amara tuned her transducer to the hidden harmonic, piezo plates glowing as energy built. Ortiz murmured, 90 seconds. The canyon itself screamed. Roars cascaded from ridge to ridge, harmonics spiraling into a cathedral of sound. Cancellas strained, then cracked under the pressure. Helmets sparked, sensors fried, and Zari's squad staggered. Amara's voice carried through the maelstrom, not loud but steady, woven into the thunder. Reload. The word multiplied, echo after echo, until the night itself seemed to chant it. To Zari's ears, it was a ritual thunder, the voice of predators hidden in every shadow. Troops faltered. Some fled. In the jungle, shuttles lifted through rain, engines muffled by thunder. Civilians clutched one another, tears lost in the roar. On his balcony, Vell did not flinch. He watched the lights climb skyward, one by one. His claws drummed against the railing, then stilled. He keyed his recorder. Report, sector lost. Civilian assets evacuated. Enemy employed primitive acoustics as strategic weapon. Conclusion, humans transmute relic tools into myth. Recommendation, never underestimate their will. He shut the file and turned away. At the pad, Amara knelt in the mud, chest heaving. Ortiz staggered beside her, laughing breathlessly. We actually did it. Voss sat hard, wiping rain from his brow. For now. Above them, the last shuttle roared into cloud. Amara watched until its glow vanished. Relief washed over her, but it carried weight. She had made her people monsters to survive, and the sound of that word, *reload*, would haunt her long after silence returned. A child she'd saved tugged her sleeve. His small voice cut through the dying storm. Are the monsters gone? Amara pulled him close. For tonight. She looked to the horizon, where fog swallowed the canyons once more. But monsters don't apologize. Humans do. Later. She lifted him into the shuttle bay and followed, leaving Kale 9's echoes behind.